Spirit. Amen. Almighty Father, we pray unto your name. As you're going to start this lesson, cover us with your holy blood, enlighten our minds. Let us sing straight, Almighty Father, and participate throughout the discussion. Bless us all in Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.
Thank you so much for the word of prayer.
Welcome.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Kindly just give me a minute. I'm going to start sharing my screen. I'll start with the okay. I asked you through the chat which topic you'd love us to look at. And according to the responses I obtained, many of you wanted us to have a review on the trigonometry. And when I went on and I looked at what so far many of you have done, I looked at us concentrating at what we call the R formula, as such that we can be able to secure at least 12 marks when it comes to trigonometry. We understand very well that trigonometry is one of the numbers that you are going to find in section A and section B, meaning that if you master trigonometry very well, you can be very safe with about 17 marks already secured if you are very conversant with this topic. And when I looked at one of the numbers that are very recent, I looked at one of them being in the area of R formula. So our concentration today is going to be on the R formula. I do understand that you have quite a number of topics you want us to look at, but we shall break them into manageable areas, and we shall look at all those parts in small bits until when we obtain everything we want to cover. Now, I know some of you have looked at R formula, but some of you might not have looked at it. And what is this R formula? R formula, you have made equations that are in this format here. Whenever you meet an equation of this format, whereby it is involving sine and cos, and you want to solve it, one of the approaches we can use to have that equation solved is through the use of the R formula. Those who have looked through last year's paper, that number concerning R formula was carrying 12 marks in section B. Those who looked at section B very well, you would have noticed that as one of the numbers that was carrying 12 marks. So that number was looking like this, meaning that someone who has understood our formula, this particular number was a walk over for that particular person. So we are going to look at how can we do these numbers such that we can be able to maximize everything within that section. So that is where we are going to start from today. And then we shall look at different questions that will require us to use this R formula and how best we can utilize it. So that is going to be our area of concentration today as we dig deep into this section. So I've said that what we are looking at is called R formula. And when we are looking at R formula, one of the things we need to know that always our equation is going to be in this format. Take an example. You'll find, let me say 3 sine theta plus 4 cos of theta maybe is equal to 5. And they want you to obtain the angles theta. So in order for you to be able to solve, one of the approaches that we can easily use is the R formula. And for some particular questions, they will require you to use particularly that R formula. So equations of that nature, equations where you have 5 cos of theta minus 3 sine of theta is equal to maybe 10. In other words, whenever you find that sine and cos are in one equation, and either maybe it is addition or subtraction, then what has to come to your mind is the R formula. However, you look at the degree on the sign, that what is the degree on the sign, that it is a 1. Therefore, that one will require to use the R formula. So that is what we are going to be looking at in our discussion today. But what does the R formula require? So in order for us to be able to apply the R formula, we need to always utilize the knowledge we obtain from the compound angles. Remember very well, when you were looking at compound angles, you looked at expansion, that when I have sine of A plus B, what do I obtain? That sine, whenever I have an addition here, I'll have a sine of the first angle, cos of B, then plus. So please take note that whenever it is a plus, for sine, I'll have a plus. Whenever it is sine, and this side I have a minus, when I'm subtracting two angles, whenever this is a minus, as well here, we shall also have the minus. Then when it comes to cos, when I have cos, when I'm adding two angles in a cos, this is the addition. Then for the cos, I'll have a subtraction. In case it's a minus, then I'll have a plus. So you need to distinguish those two whenever you are dealing with the compound angles. That's why when we have a plus, we shall go with a plus. We have a minus, we shall always go with a minus. When it comes to the cos here, you note that a plus goes with a minus and a minus goes with a plus. Now, the compound angles are very key when it comes to the R formula. Now, can we look at how does this R formula come about, or how does it go about? Now, in order for us to obtain this R formula comes from this. If I have this is R and I have sine, this is theta and this is alpha. When I have this is like your A and this is like your B. We notice always say that whenever you are adding two angles, like I have sine of A plus sine of B, what happens is that when I'm expanding this, I'll have sine of A, I'll have cos of B, then plus sine of A, sine of B, and then cos of A. The same thing will happen here, whereby your theta is your A and your alpha is the B. So when I expand this, since I have this R, I'll have my R. Then when I expand that, I'll have sine theta, cos of alpha, plus I'll have sine of alpha, then cos of theta. Now that is the expansion. Now when you continue to expand it, what will happen? This R multiplies here and here, so you end up with R sine of theta, cos of alpha, plus R sine of alpha, cos of theta. I don't know whether members we are on the same page. Is that fine, members? You can let me know through the chat. Are we on the same page? Okay. Okay, how I said, yes, we're on the same page. Very good. So when I have, so we have said that whenever we have anything in this form, whereby I have A, this one is going to be sine of theta plus B cos of theta. And I want to have this solved. It's where we have said we shall apply what we call the R formula. Now, how do you apply it? Now, when you look at the expression I want to solve, you keep on equating and you keep on relating that when I look at sine theta here, this sine theta is related to this. When I look at cos theta is related to that. that means that those two are going to be equivalent. So in other words, when I have A sine of theta plus B cos of theta, this is equivalent to having R sine of theta cos of alpha plus R sine of alpha cos of theta. Now, what do you do? Here, what we do is what we call equating. We do the equating. In other words, this sine theta I'll equate to this. So I can say that my A sine of theta is equal to R sine of theta cos of alpha. Then I'm going to equate the second one. The second one, I'll have B cos of theta is equal to R sine of alpha cos of theta. You equate the corresponding one. The same thing happens when you are solving. Now, when you equate, you notice that this and this are the same. So mean that this and this can be reduced. So you get your A is equal to R cos of alpha. The same thing will happen here. This cos and a cos can reduce. So you get your B is equal to R of sine of alpha. Therefore, you have remained with two things that are very important in the solving. One, you have remained with R cos of alpha is equal to A. But also you have remained with R sine of alpha is equal to B. Now, it is from here that we are going to obtain our generalized kind of things we use in our solving of the equations. Now, from here, you can notice that when I divide the two equations, this is like my first one, and this is the second one. You notice that when I divide R sine alpha, divide by R cos of alpha is equal to B out of A. So the R and the R cancels. So sine out of cos will give us a tan alpha is equal to B out of A. And this one is going to be very common. And it's going to be one of the things we shall keep on utilizing. Then the second one comes when we square the two equations. So when I square the first one, I'll have R squared sine squared alpha is equal to B squared. When I square the second, I have R squared cos squared alpha is equal to A squared. Now, adding these two equations, you get R squared sine squared alpha plus R squared cos squared alpha equaling to B squared plus A squared. You can note that R is common, so it means that I have R squared into sine squared alpha plus cos squared alpha is equal to B squared plus A squared. Now, class, can we type in the chat, what is sine squared alpha plus cos squared theta equals to? What is that thing equaling to? Okay, Ahawe has said is equal to 1. And therefore here we shall have R squared. This is 1 times 1 is equal to B squared plus A squared. So allow me to come back here. So it means that we shall have R squared equals to B squared plus A squared. Since I'm interested in R, I'll get the square root and I have B squared plus A squared. Now, dear members, I want you to take note that always whenever you're using R, and it's the approach you're using, I'd never miss out this mark of just getting your R by say it's equal to square root of B squared plus A squared. Then the second one is what we are going to be obtaining. And I want you to take note that your R will always be greater than 0. R is always greater than 0. In other words, it can never be a negative. Please take note of that. Secondly, when we are dealing with this alpha, our angle, that angle will always be between 0 less than alpha less than 90 degrees. So will always be within that range. Class, are we on the same page? Kindly let me know through the chat. Are we on the same page? You can say yes, and then, okay. Let me give you just a minute to summarize. But the most important thing is you knowing that in R, I will need the tan, I will need the R. In other words, you will need the angle alpha, you will need the R. So, yes. So let me give you a minute to take notes, write somewhere to summarize in your own way. When you summarize, you'll let me know. You'll say done. Okay. Okay, it seems members are finished. Shakul, do you have a question? Shakul?
Master, thank you for the opportunity granted to me. But I was just suggesting that instead of us to be writing, let's just be taking screenshots because we have a lot of things to cover and I have no time. Let's just be just making screenshots instead of writing. We shall write later. That's what I was suggesting.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay, I think members now we can start with, when you look at my screen, I've displayed something that I want you in your free time, you can try it out. Now, what you need to do is that in order for you to come, this one you can explore and check out whether you can be able to come up with your R. But whatever thing you are handling, whether it is a minus, whether you have a plus, whether it is a minus, please do not forget that your R will always remain like this and your turn will always remain like that. Always, please take note of that. But differs, what differs is that when you have a minus, then remember that when you have a minus as a sign, you shall use sign. But when we have a cos and we have a plus, we can use the cos. When we have a minus, we can as well use a cos. So that is, but we are going to look at the different ways we can do it. But whatever thing you use, you'll be able to get the answer. And this is the summary. I want you to take a screenshot of it. This is just a summary. Okay, I think now we are going to start. Now, this is going to be our first number that we are going to do. And this is the way they are always set. Now, when you look at this number, I think, sorry, let me use this pen. Now, when you look at this number, how are we going to approach it? There are two things we need to know. One, we need to obtain our R, and we need to obtain our angle, which is alpha. Now, what do you do, or what can you do? Now, when you come here, you notice that they want it in the form of R sine of theta minus alpha. Now, you need to remember your expansions always, that when I have sine, relate it very well to this kind of to this to the compound angle, that when I have sine A minus B, what do I obtain? That I'll have sine of A cos of B minus sine of B cos of A. That is the same thing we shall do here. So I'll have here members R. Then when I expand what I have inside here, we shall have sine theta cos of alpha minus, I'll have sine of alpha cos of theta. That is the first thing. Then when I enter, I'll have R sine of theta cos of alpha minus R sine of alpha cos of theta. And the whole of this one, it's what we shall equate to what we have here. Therefore, what do we have? So we have obtained our R sine theta cos of alpha minus R sine of alpha cos of theta, which we are going to equate to 15 sine theta minus 8 cos of theta. Now, what do you notice? You notice that for what we have here, we have two things that are common. You notice that sine is here, sine is here. You notice that I have a cos here and I have a cos. So you equate those two things. So I'm going to equate, and let's say R sine theta cos of alpha is equal to 15 sine of theta. But also I have R sine alpha cos of theta is equal to 8 cos of theta. I'm removing the negative here, because when I have a negative this side and negative, those negatives cancel, because I have a negative here and I have a negative here. That's why they cancel. There's no need for me to bring them here. So at this point, this sign and the sign will die. So I remain with R cos alpha is equal to 15. Then here the cos and the cos will cancel. So I remain with R sine of theta is equal to 8. Now what do I need? You notice that they want me to obtain the angle alpha. So in order for us to obtain the angle, this is like my first equation and this is like my second equation. So I can divide the two. So I can come here and I say R sine theta is equal to 8. Then R cos of alpha is equal to 15. So I'm dividing the two. The R and the R will cancel. I remain with tan alpha is equal to 8 out of 15. Now, when I reach here, I'll place my calculator. So I can first place what is 8 out of 15. Then I say this is tan alpha is equal to 0.53333. And therefore, my alpha will equal to tan inverse of 0.53333. Then you place your calculator, what you get for tan inverse of that. And according to the answer I'm getting this as 28.07. Since they told us to 2 decimal places, remember when you place your calc, you'll get something like this. So to 2 decimal places, I'll conclude and I say my alpha will equal to 28.07 degrees. Members, are we together on that? Is that fine, members? You can let me know through the chat. Okay, okay. Can I now task you, each and everyone, to find R? I know they have not asked for R for part A, but can we find R? Remember we said that R is given by square root of B squared plus A squared. So class, can we find R? When you find R, you can let us know what through the chat. Okay, members are getting 17. Okay, very good. So our R is going to be the square root, which is 15 squared plus the 8 squared, and 15 squared plus 8 squared, that one will equal to 289. So we shall have square root of 289, and the square root of 289 is equal to 17. Okay, so that's how you do the first part. Now, I want you please to take note that whenever you see the word hence, hence means that from the previous answer or from the previous thing you have done, solve. Meaning that in order for you to be awarded a score, you must use what you have obtained from the previous answer. So for this particular number now, in order for us to be able to solve it, it means that we must be able to use the knowledge we have obtained. But when you look at at this expression I wrote here, members, you can notice that we say that the whole of this one is equal to this. And you know that this one, for expansion, it came from here. So it came from us saying that R sine of theta minus alpha. Now, what does it mean? It means that when I come to my second part, okay. Now, when it comes to my second part, remember they want me to solve this. They want me to come and I solve the expression, which is 15 sine of theta minus 8 cos theta is equal to 10. Now, from our previous answer, we have already noticed that they wanted us to express it in the form of this theta minus alpha. What does it mean? It means that where there is this, we shall place here. Remember, we have obtained our R as 17. We have sine our theta. We don't know the angle, but we have obtained the second angle, which was 28.07. So that means that where we have this, I'm going to replace it with this. So we shall have 17 sine of theta minus 28.07 is equal to 10. Now, the moment you reach that point, it means that at least you are close to the answer. Then you remind yourself that if I have something like this is equal to 4, how do I solve it? So how do you solve it? Just divide by 3, divide by 3. Then obtain your sine theta equals to 4 out of 3. So we shall apply the same knowledge. We shall remove this 17 by dividing it on both sides. Divide by 17, divide by 17. Meaning that now our sign will remain with theta minus 28.07 is equal to, then you get the 10 divided by 17. So 10 divided by 17 is the same as 0.58823. Since we want to obtain the whole of this angle here, we shall say now theta minus 28.07 is equal to sine inverse of 0.588235. But allow me to take you back. The first angle, when you come here and you place your calculator, the first angle you are going to obtain is going to be 36.03. Now, remember here, when you go back to the question, they told that for all angles of theta between 0 and 360, meaning that at this point here, when you place sine inverse, please exhaust all the angles that give you a positive. So allow me to have some side work here. Remember, we have our sine theta minus 28.07 equaling to 0.588. And when you look at this one is positive. Now that means that we are going to look at the quadrant where sine is positive. So when I come here, I will draw my quadrant. I know all. So sine is positive in this quadrant. So the first angle you have obtained is the reference angle. So you need to obtain another angle where sine gives you 0.588. So when you look at sine where it is positive, sine is positive in the second quadrant. That means I'll come here, and I check out which angle will I have from here up to this point. So you know that here, the first angle you have obtained, the 36, lies in the first quadrant. What about that second angle where sine is positive, but in the second quadrant? Members, can we put that angle in the chart? I want to check whether members can find for us the angle. I want this angle. From this point, this is 0, but from that point up to this point, what angle could that be? That angle where sine is positive in the second quadrant. Paul has said 180 minus theta, 143.97. Okay, that is good. Yes, that is the angle. Now, those who don't know, what do you do? In the second quadrant, remember from 0 up to here, you have 180 degrees up to here. So the theta is the angle you are going to eliminate. So I will subtract minus theta, whereby theta is your reference angle. So to get that second angle, you will say 180 minus theta, which is 180 minus 36.03. So when you do your 180 minus 36.03, you'll obtain your angle as 143.97 degrees. Yes. So I can first end at that point. Now, and one of the mistakes sometimes we do is that we forget to obtain or to exhaust those angles. So you find that you have obtained the right answer, but one of the angles is missing. Yes. Okay. So this will be theta minus 28.07. So I'm going to go on. I obtain what theta is. This one being a minus, I'll first deal with the first one. Theta minus 28.07 is equal to 36.03. So mean that my theta will equal to 36.03 plus 28.07. So you obtain your angle. You add those two things. So 36.03 plus, when you add it on what? 28.07, you end up with 64.1. So here I have 64.1 degrees. Then the second is when you have 143.97. So you do the same. Theta minus 28.07 is equal to 143.97. So you'll obtain 143.97 plus 28.07. So what are you going to have? 28.07 plus 143.97. So you'll obtain your answer as 172.04 degrees. So that means that in your conclusion, we shall have our theta as 64.1 degrees and we shall have 172.04 degrees. Members, can you let me know whether we are at the same page, whether we have understood? Okay. Okay. Eunice has said it is okay. All right. Members, are we good to continue or you are still making some write-up? Okay. Now, consolanta. Consolanta. Now, 0 to 90 is this angle of alpha. That is the one that lies between 0 and 90. But theta, when you look at the equation, they told us that theta should be between 0 and 360. So that is your theta. So theta is bigger than 90, but alpha can't be bigger than 90. Hope consolanta, we are on the same page. Okay, let's first note down. Okay. Okay, you let me know whether we can continue. Oh, so how do you obtain a negative angle in the quadrant? Okay, help me get answers in all the quadrants. Now, in case it comes to obtaining answers in other quadrants, let me say if our angle, it was, okay, first finish right and I show you. In case the angle, it was open, they wanted very many angles. They had not given you a range. Yeah, let me hope we are good now to continue. Now, what do we do? Sometimes, let me say in other cases, you must master this. This is our quadrant. The angle we have here is 0. Here is 90. This is 180. This is 270. And this is 360. Now, the first angle always you obtain is what you call the reference angle. Whenever you place, whether you have placed sine, cos, or tan, the first angle always you get between 0 and 90, that acute angle. The acute angle you get is going to be always in the first quadrant. So it's what sometimes you call the theta. Now, in case, let me say it was sine, and sine was positive. Let me say you had sine of maybe theta is equal to 0.5. Now, this one is positive. So it means that you are going to look in the quadrants where sine is positive. That this one all, this one is S, T, and this is cos. So sine is positive. So what you do, you will come in that particular quadrant where you want, like that. Now, this angle theta here is this angle theta here, the first angle. To obtain this second angle, remember always we measure from the reference line here. So you measure this angle here. But to obtain this angle here, always the reference angle, please take it from today. The reference angle, always it is close to what we call the x-axis. Must always be close here, cross here, and also in case I complete this, it's going to be cross here. So for this particular case in the second quadrant, the reference angle is at this point. So to obtain this remaining angle, remember here, you have this one is already theta. So this one that remains is given by 180 minus theta. Then in case I'm in this third quadrant, now for it differs. Why? Because the angle you want is the angle from here, I come like this up to this point. Now, from here up to here, you have already moved 180 degrees. So you add on what you have here. So in the third quadrant, instead, we don't subtract. We get this 180 plus the reference angle. So here, you get 180 plus theta. Then when it comes to the third quadrant, to the last quadrant, still I want the angle from the reference point up to this point. But we have said that the angle across the x-axis is the reference angle. So this angle remaining is given by 360 minus theta. So in simple terms, in summary, the first angle here is always your theta. In this quadrant, you always say 180 minus theta. In the third quadrant, you say 180 plus theta. in the last one, you say 360 minus theta. That's how you do them. Now, what if it is negative? Now, what if sine, let me say you have obtained sine theta and it was equal to negative 0.5. The moment you notice that it is negative, you are going to ask yourself, in which quadrants is sine negative? That sine is going to be negative in the third quadrant and the fourth quadrant, in this quadrant and this quadrant. So what do? When you are placing your calculator, there is no need for you to place the what? The negative. Since you have already known the quadrants where sine is negative. So I'll come here and I say theta is equal to sine inverse of 0.5. Now the angle you obtain here is going to be the reference angle. So you say sine inverse of 0.5, which is equal to 30 degrees. But since here sine was negative, to obtain the right angle where sine gives you negative 0.5, remember we have said it is in the third quadrant and in the fourth quadrant. So in the third quadrant, we add plus theta. So that means your reference angle was 30. So to obtain that angle, you say 180 plus 30. And then when you add 180 plus 30, you end up with 210 degrees. So that is one of your answer. When you come to the third quadrant, for it you subtract, you say 360 minus 30, which will give you 330. So when you place sine of 330, you'll find yourself getting negative 0.5. When you place sine of 210, you'll get negative 0.5. I don't know whether the person who was asking about the negatives, we are on the same page now. What if the range is between negative 90 and 90? In case it is between negative 90 and 90, then that is now another case. So for that one, you will leave your negative there. Feel free to leave your negative there when you are placing your calculator. So don't you include the 30? No, you don't include the 30. 30 was used as a reference angle because for whatever answer you get, let me say you are solving sine theta is equal to negative 0.5. Any answer you get for theta must be able to give you negative 0.5. So when you place sine of 210, you will be able to get negative 0.5. When you place sine of 330, you'll be able to get negative 0.5. That is what I'm saying. Okay. But sine 30 doesn't give you negative 0.5. Hope that is okay, Eunice. Okay. Are we good to continue, members? You can let me know through the chat whether we are good to continue. Okay. Okay. Okay, we can continue. Okay. Okay. We have another number I want us to try out. We have another number, but this one I'm going to ask you to just take a screenshot. Take a screenshot. You are going to try it in your free time. First, take a screenshot of that. Okay. Okay. But do not worry. I'll be sharing with you this. Yeah, I want us to now look at this number in another format. Now, this number I have done for you, this one is the one that you're going to try out. Now, what happens on this particular question? There is something they will always ask you. And what is that thing that they ask you? They can ask you to obtain what we call the minimum and what we call the maximum. After solving, they may ask you, what is the minimum and what is the maximum? So that is what I want us now to first look at. So allow me now to first look at that particular one. Now, when we are solving, I want to remind you that when you have your graphs or when you plot a sine and a cos curve, one of the things you need to remember is that, let me say this is my sine curve. Any sine curve has a maximum at 1, and it will always have a minimum at -1. Similarly, when it comes to the cos, this is how the curve looks like. Still, it will have its maximum at 1 and minimum at -1. I want you to take note of that. So when you are dealing with a question and you notice that in that question, they're asking, what is the minimum value? What is the maximum value? Then when you are working it out, you need to remember that when they ask for minimum value, that one, I will have it in terms of -1. When they're asking for maximum value, then that one will be a +1. Now, let us write a question. I don't know whether members we have understood that, but we can write some key points somewhere. Let us write one key point, that the maximum value value of S sine theta plus B cos theta is, I know they may ask you, what is the maximum value? So the maximum value is that, and occurs when sine theta plus alpha is equal to 1. Then in case it is minimum is below the x-axis, in other words. So the minimum value, though at sometimes depending on the graph, it can be also above. The minimum value of this is -s² plus b² and occurs when sine theta plus alpha is equal to -1. Please take note of that. So we are going to do an activity together. So it says x plus 2 cos theta minus sine theta in the form r cos theta plus alpha, where r is greater than 0 and 0 degrees less than alpha less than 90 degrees. Hence, find the maximum and minimum values of the expression 2 cos theta minus sine theta, and the values of theta in the range, in the interval 0 degrees less than theta less than 3 degrees. Okay. Yeah. So we are going to first deal with that number. Now, what do we need? One, we need to have our R and we need to have our angle, which is alpha. So I'm going to ask each one of you, because like always, I want you to understand from the first concepts, not to cram, because whenever you cram, you'll find yourself that a change in the concept, a small change in the concept, you can be off. So you let me know whether we can now start. When you tell me that we can start, I will start and we first do it. Okay, someone says we can start. Now, the first thing always you look out for in the question, I always want you to look at which form do they want you to write it. That one should be able to give you a good hint such that you know, so this is the form they want us to write it. So you go back. I want you always to learn from the first principles. So we have R cos in the form of R cos into theta plus alpha. Then remind yourself that when I have cos of A plus B, what do I have? This is the same as cos A, cos B, minus sine of A, sine of B. So that is where you start from. So I'll have R into cos of theta, cos of alpha, minus sine of theta, sine of alpha. That is the first step always you have to take. Then from there, you can continue and say, this is R cos theta, cos alpha, minus R sine of theta, sine of alpha. But when you go back to the question we had 2 cos of theta minus sine of theta. So what are we going to do? We are going to equate that this is equal to R cos of theta cos alpha minus R sine theta sine of alpha. Now, from that point is where now you're going to come and say, now what do I do? I'm going to go on and I equate. So I equate this with what I have this side. So I'll say now, R cos theta cos of alpha is equal to 2 cos theta. Now notice that cos and cos theta can reduce, so you remain with R cos alpha is equal to 2. Then you're going to come this side, you have this and this. This is negative, this is negative. So I'm going to have R sine theta sine alpha is equal to sine theta. Those who want you, there's no problem for you carry your negatives, but good enough, they'll cancel. Now, what is it that you shouldn't forget? That there is an hidden one here. Some of you, the moment you see them canceling, you forget the one. So here, members, the moment sine and sine cancels, you remain with R sine of alpha is equal to 1. Now, this is your first one, and you have the second equation. So since you want to obtain the angle, we shall divide the two equations. So I'll have R sine alpha is equal to 1 divided by R cos theta out of 2. So this will give us the R and the R cancels. Sine out of cos is tan. So I'll have tan alpha is equal to 1/2. And therefore you say theta is equal to tan inverse of 1 out of 2 or 0.5. So you place your calculator, 0.5 gives us alpha is equal to okay. Alpha is equal to, the angle I'm obtaining from the calc is 26.57 degrees. Members, do we have that also? Now, after obtaining that, we are going to obtain our R. And we say that r is always given by square root of b squared minus a squared, whereby our b and a are these coefficients on cos and on the sine. So members, you'll agree with me that I'll have my b, this is 2 squared plus 1 squared, or which is negative 1 squared. Yes, so this will give us root of 4 plus 1, which will give us root of 5. And this is our r. Now, when you obtain a root, always do not hurry to write it in decimal point. Work with the root such that your answer is within the accuracy level. Because when you work with the root, it makes you be very close to the accurate answer. Then when you convert it into decimals. So from there, we are going to come here and say now that our 2 cos theta minus sine theta, since we said is the same as r cos theta plus alpha, it means that where there is r, we shall put root of 5. Then we shall have cos theta plus our angle, which is 26.57 degrees. Members, can you let me know through the chat whether we are on the same page up to that point? Okay, are we on the same page? Okay. Okay. Now that was the first thing they asked us. They told us to express it in that form. Then from expressing it in that form, they told us that hence find the maximum and minimum values. That is what I want you to take note. Find the maximum and the minimum values of the expression and the values of theta. I want you to take note of that. So I want us to go back. We say that the maximum value, I gave you a note. I told you that from here. In other words, we are asking when we draw that particular graph, how does its maximum look like? How does its minimum value look like when you draw it? That is what we are saying. What is the maximum and what is the minimum value? And at what angle does it occur at? So I'm going to first allow me to do something here. Yes, that is what. Okay, okay. Yeah, so now that is what, so we say that the maximum value occurs when we have root a squared plus b squared. Then the minimum value, we said we have negative that. So members in the chat, can you tell me what is the maximum value? Yes. And what is the minimum value? I want to see what is the maximum value and what is the minimum value. I've not asked where it occurs, but I want the maximum value just. Anyone? I'm waiting to see which answer we shall say. So, okay. Let me start with the minimum value, no problem. Then, okay. Okay, through the chart. Okay, maximum positive root 5. Very good. Okay, now what does it mean? We have said that in order for us to obtain the maximum value. So we say that the maximum value means we have root b squared plus a squared. So your b squared, we say this is 2 squared plus a squared, which was negative 1 squared, and our maximum value will be root of 5. Now, where does it occur? Now, it occurs when our cos is equal to positive 1. Now, please take note. Here, we have said that it occurs when the cos, this part here, so mean that we shall say cos of theta plus 26.57 is equal to positive 1. That is the maximum value. So we want to find at what point is that where it occurs. Now, in order for us to obtain, we are going to solve. So here we shall say theta plus 26.57 is equal to cos inverse of 1. Now, when you place your calculator, the cos inverse of 1, you'll get your answer as So, members, which answers do we have? I want to see the answers. The first angle, Nokia, that is okay. Constellanta, that is okay. Cos inverse of 1, the angles we have, one of them is 0, the second one, okay. 180. Now, what you do always, the moment you get your calculator, you say cos 180, do I get 0? Any angle you are giving, once you place it on your calculator, cos of that angle should be able to give you the 1. In case it does not give you 1, it means not correct. That's what we are saying. That is okay. You place cos 270. Does it give you 1? Remember, okay, we have obtained the first angle. O is 0. What could be the second angle that gives us a 1? Remember, this is the answer you should always aim at obtaining. So the first one is a 1. Oh, okay. Remember, you have obtained your reference angle for this case as 0. That is your reference angle. So what does it mean? To obtain another angle, you come back to the quadrants like we said, that the first angle you have obtained is 0. So where is cos positive? Cos is positive here in this quadrant here. So when you move, you notice that you are coming back to the same point. The second angle here is going to be 360. When you move and you come back, that's going to be the other angle. So the second angle here is going to be 360. I don't know whether that is okay, members. Is that okay? Yeah. Now, okay, hope that is okay. Okay. Now, now I'm going to ask you, when you take 0 as your first angle, you notice that your theta is going to be negative. In case you consider 0 as one of the angles, you'll have negative 260.57. When you consider 360 minus the 26.57, you'll have your answer as 3334.43 degrees. Now, members, when you go back to the conditions, they told that your theta must only be between 0 and 360. So what does it mean? It means that this one does not qualify. So it means that your theta will equal to 333.43 degrees. I don't know whether, members, that is okay. Is that okay, members? You can let me know through the chat whether we are together on that. Is that okay? Oh, okay. Samsung says no. No, some are saying no, others yes. Okay, I'm saying, remember, we are obtaining the angle theta. The angle theta is like the solution to our values. But when I have, allow me to put it here. You notice that when we have theta plus 260.57 is equal to 0, the moment I solve, I'll have theta is equal to 0 minus 26.57, meaning that my theta will equal to negative 26.57 degrees as the angle. But in the interval, they want the angle of theta to be, should be between 0 and 360. So when you look at negative is below 0. So that's why I'm disqualifying it as not part of our solution. Hope that it is a bit now clear. Yes. So now here your conclusion is going to be that My maximum value is root of 5 and occurs when theta is 333.4 degrees. Is that okay? Members, are we together on that? You can let me know through the chat. Yes, you will say that the maximum value is root of 5 and occurs when the angle theta is 333.43 degrees. Is that okay? Okay, okay. Can we first write, then we look at the minimum value? You first take note, and then we look at the minimum value.
Recording in progress.
In case you have finished to take note, you can start trying out the minimum value. Okay, how did we get the 333? Now, how we obtain that answer, I'm going to come back here. Remember, at first we had theta. This is 265.57. 265.57 was equal to cos inverse of 1. And we note that cos inverse of 1, when you place cos inverse of 1, we obtain one of our angles as 0. In other words, we are asking what cos, which angle, which when we place here, we get our answer as 1. One of them is that when you place cos 0, you get 1. When you place cos of 360, you also get 1. So one of the angles is 0, another one is 360. Now, that means that in order for us to obtain theta, only theta, I'll say theta plus 265.57 is equal to the angle. One of them is 0. Still, I will say theta plus 265.7 is equal to 360. Now, when I start with the one of 0 and I take this one this side to obtain theta, I'll have theta equaling to 0 minus 26.57 and to give me negative 26.57. For this case, I'll have theta equaling to 360 minus 26.57. So when you say 360 minus 26.57, you end up with your answers 333.43 degrees. Now, when you look at the interval for theta, the interval for theta is 0 to 360, from 0 to 360. So when you look at this negative, does not qualify because it is negative, it is below 0. So this one, you don't put it there. When you look at 333, it lies between 0 and 360, so it qualifies. So I'll conclude and say that my maximum value is equal to root of 5 and occurs at theta equaling to 333.43 degrees. Then we say that now when we want the minimum value, the minimum value, the minimum value we said is equal to negative b squared plus a squared. And for this case, we shall have the hour 2 squared plus the negative 1 squared, and we end up with negative root of 5. This is the minimum value. But where the minimum value occurs, remember I told that from the graph that these graphs, that is for sine, and then for the cos, it will look like this. That the maximum value, whenever you place that calculator of yours, whatever angle you place in cos, you will never get an answer beyond 1 and an answer below -1. In other words, you cannot say, I placed my angle of cos of this angle and I got my answer as 2. It can never. That's what I'm saying. That your answer for cos, whenever you place cos of any angle, it can either be between 1 or -1. So the lowest value, the smallest value you can ever obtain when you place cos of any angle or sine of any angle is -1. The highest value you can ever obtain is a 1. So for minimum, because the lowest value we can obtain is -1, it means that we are going to have this expression of ours, this one here, equate to -1 for minimum. So I'll come here and I say cos of theta plus 26.57 is equal to -1. So here I'll say now theta plus 26.57 will equal to cos inverse of -1. Now you ask yourself, what is cos inverse of -1? Is that okay? But I told that -1 is just an indicator in the quadrant where cos is negative. Can you tell me what could be our answer? Cos inverse of -1. Someone has said 180. So here we shall have our answer as 180. Hope that is okay. Now, after obtaining our 180, I'll come and say theta plus 26.57. So my theta will equal to 180 minus 26.57. So 180 minus 26.57, I'll end up with 153.43 degrees. So I will say that my minimum value is equal to -5 and occurs at theta equaling to 153.43 degrees. Class, is that fine to everyone? Is that okay, members? Okay, Kelvin has said yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Then that is very good. That is good. Okay. Yes, has everyone understood? Have we understood that part? So when they give you this, that is how you have to obtain them. That's how you have to obtain them. I can give you a quick one. Oh, I can give you a quick one. So class, find for me. I have an activity for everyone here. This is our activity. This is our activity. I have this 17 cos theta minus 61.8 degrees. So class, what is the minimum value and what is the maximum value, and at what value do they occur? So let everyone try. You tell us the minimum value, the maximum value, and what you think, where you think the minimum or the maximum value has. Yeah, so you place your answer in the chat. Let's first try out. So Consolant has given us the minimum and the maximum value, okay? Now you tell us at what point do they occur? Frederick, I'm not getting you. Why you are lost? Frederick, you can unmute. Frederick, you're saying you are lost. Samsung. No, like, but we said maximum equate your cosine to 1. Minimum equate to -1. That's Okay, I think, okay. Oh, yes, the range is 0 to 360. Okay, I think we are there, members. 241 is one of the answers. 241, yes. Okay, okay. So the range is 0 and 360. Okay, that is okay. I think we are good to, let me display one number for us to try out. Now, this is the number that came last year, and I wanted, yes, let's answer now. Let us start with part A. We start with part A, get your R. And when they say acute angle, those are angles between 0 and 90 degrees. So at least let us see now everyone can get those 6 marks for part A. Put your answer in the chat when you finish. Let me hope we are getting there. R is 20. Alpha is 53.13. That is from Eunice. Members, are we getting the same answer? Okay, Samsung has said yes. Okay. This is what I think you have done. I know you have said your R is root 12 squared plus 16 squared, and you ended up with your answer from the what I'm seeing. Okay, 20. So those who are getting 20, that is very good. Then our alpha, we said, would always be given by tan inverse of B out of A. So for this case, we shall have tan inverse of our B, which is 16 out of 12, and this will give us our 53.13 degrees. Okay, if we have that, members, it means you have picked something from the lesson. Then maximum value. I will find the maximum and minimum values of that. Are we say for maximum value? For maximum value, members, not where they occur, but we just want the maximum value. We just want the maximum value. Maximum is 20 and it occurs. Maximum is 20. That is good. Eunice, have you noticed the mistake? You have given us where they occur, but not what the value is. So the maximum value, remember we said that to obtain the maximum value, always we get just the root of b squared plus a squared. That is the maximum. For minimum value is negative b squared plus a squared. So I expect you to tell us the maximum value is root 20 and then the minimum value is negative. But now to be a good student, even you can say the maximum value is this and it occurs at this point. Then the minimum value is this, and then it occurs at that point. Okay. Okay. I hope members we are together on that. Okay, minimum is negative 20. Okay. Okay. In fact, there is no root. There is no root. Yeah. Minimum is negative 20. Maximum is 20. Yeah, that is very correct. There is no root. There is no root here. Okay. 20 and then negative 20. Okay, can we go now and solve? So I expect you now when you come to solve to have 20. This is what? Cos of theta minus 53.13 equals to 15. But do not forget that we have said you need to first exhaust the angles. You need to first exhaust the angles. This is 15 out of 20. So I expect you to exhaust the angles. I know one of your first angles is going to be 41.4 degrees, 0 degrees, or this is going to be 1, maybe, degrees. Then you can find what about the second cos. In case it is beyond, then that is okay. So when you obtain your answer for theta, feel free to share. Okay, members, have we obtained the answer? Okay, that is okay, Peterson. So where did you get that 15? Why is it equal to 15? Why is it? Oh, the 15 is here, members. Here, when we come to this part here, they are telling us that the whole of this should equal to 15 from here. Yet, actually, the only this part here is what we are obtaining from here. So that's why we equated to 15. Hope Smith, Ezra, Techno, that is okay. Oh, Samsung, how did you get 41.41? Oh, Samsung, your answer is incomplete. Remember, you are going to say now, theta minus 53.13 is equal to that 41.41 degrees. Another angle that where cos is positive is not that angle you have given us. Yeah. The other angle is about 318.59. So the one you have given us the second. So when you reach here to get theta, you complete. So you say 41.41 plus 53.13. Then you get the answer. So which is sum of 70. No, it is 90 something, not even 70. 94.5 something. So hope Samsung you are making the collection. Nokia 94 point something, 94, yes. Okay. Let me hope that is very fine, members. Okay, I'm going to give you some exercise to try out in your free time. So when they use the word greatest is the maximum, least is the minimum. So let them not confuse you. Okay, so you can take a screenshot. You can take a screenshot, but I also share this work in the group. You can take a screenshot. Okay. Okay, so you'll try out those two numbers and then we can share. But also you can go in the question bank and try out all those numbers that are about our programming. I know in the question bank, we have quite a number of them that have been set. Sometimes they may give you a hint, other times they may not give you a hint. But I want you to go to UNEB. There are quite about 3 or 4 numbers that you'll find in that nature. But I know I can write for you a few of them. You'll find when you check your question bank, you'll find numbers of this nature. When you find a number of this nature, and they will put it for you is for 0 less or equal to theta less or equal to pi. So when you find this such a number, please feel free to use your R programming. Yeah. Yes. So, but you are going to check in the question bank. You'll be able to find numbers of that nature, and you can go on to try out those numbers. Otherwise, I want us to end at this point. We are going to end here. I'm going to share this work with you such that you can be able to try out in case you have not been able to take a screenshot. But in case you have any question, you can raise it now. In case there is any question you have, feel free to unmute and ask. Okay. In case there is no question, Mercy, we shall end at this point and allow me to wish you a good evening and bye-bye everyone. Please let's try out those numbers such that we can better our solves. Have a good evening, everyone.